This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast, coming to you every week with their thoughts and opinions on each and every Ravens game. Tune in weekly and join the flock.
This is Ravens Flock Talk. I am your host, Brandon, joined by my other hosts, my dad. And last week's episode was called Deja Vu. Honestly, you could call it for this game as well. What a disappointing loss. Had control of the game, and yet, again, our coaching lets us down. Questionable play calling, questionable timeouts, questionable challenges, all things we have said last year, the year before. It's just a repeating cycle, and fans are fed up, and I don't blame them. I know it's only 2 games into the season, but my gosh, this was a game you had to win because we have some very tough games, much tougher coming up, and they just blew it as only the Ravens could.
Yeah, I totally agree. Deja vu 2 is what you could call it, because same old stuff that's going on. Hey, this is opening day. This is the Las Vegas Raiders, man. We are supposed to kill them on opening. When's the last time we lost opening day, especially to a team like this?
And the last time I heard we were 0-2 was like 2015.
2015. So, yeah, I can't agree with you more, Brandon. I mean, it's just a repeat of the same situations we've had of all of 2023. I don't even know what year we're in. It seems like it's all the same with John Harbaugh.
We've had blowout games last year, but you know, the amount of times that we have control of the game, and we start out firing the away sack. Of course, we don't get the fumble on it, but we start out firing. Even Marlon got a gimme pick, you know, in the first half. The energy was there, and we just don't know how to finish games. It's as simple as that.
I mean, Oweh had 2 sacks in the first half. We're rolling. Our defense is hot. The fans are into it.
A lot of pressure on Minshew.
Yeah, we have the momentum. And he's shaky. He's fast feet going on, running around, and what do? We I don't know if it's getting complacent or it's the offensive play calling or not being aggressive, especially in the first half. I don't remember Lamar throwing it down more than 40 yards down the field. What happened to airing out the ball a little bit and making them honest on the corners?
We had the playmakers to do it too. Henry was non-existent in the first half, you know, and luckily we showed some life in the second half with Henry, and we still couldn't get the win, you know? So it's really like it's demoralizing, and again, we don't want to overreact. Not everything was bad. But man, you know, when in the NFL, wins are hard to come by, and when you have control, you got to finish it out.
The only one of the positive things I saw in the first half was Henry's and Todd finally figuring out, you know, going up the middle with Henry when they're prepared for it. Especially Crosby was killing us in the middle. They put him on the side. They gave him a nice swing pass to get him going. Likely had a nice catch in the first half to keep the momentum going. So we have flashes of what we thought we would see, you know, every half. Not one half, not the second half. You know, not the first half, not the second half, but the whole game. And once again, I don't think they're utilizing Brandon Henry in the proper way.
You know, That drive when Henry scored and we pushed him in, I think it was the third quarter coming out of halftime. I believe it might have been the fourth. But, I mean, Todd committed to, he was like, okay, you know, it's working going outside the tackles with Henry. And he committed to it, and he did it again and again. Even the commentators were saying, do it again.
Right.
And the pivotal moment of the game for me was in the fourth, we have the lead, and you know, the Raiders give us a gift. I think it was going off sides. And then, of course, we do a false start with Henry. And I'm not blaming him, by the way. I didn't even like the play call, even if we got it, and we did. But you're going to put Kolar? I mean, this is the reason why we got Henry. Yeah. 3rd and short, right? Yeah. If we can't get it, shame on us. Yeah. Ground and pound. This guy's 250 pounds. Have him in the backfield. Even the commentator said, why get cute when you got Derrick Henry? Yeah. This was the whole point of getting him.
I said
and
that
then he gets the false start, 3rd and 6. Lamar gets the ball batted down, and that's the game, literally. That's the game.
Yeah. because you were going to run the clock out. This is what we got this man for, specifically for this situation. And they're going to get cute. I said at the same time. It's like, are you kidding me? I cannot trust Todd Monken to stick to a game plan. You never know what he's going to do. When he wants to get cute in the red zone, when he wants to do this is crazy. This was a close game all the way, but we kept getting the lead up by 10, and all we had to do was run that clock out. All we had to do was that, and it makes me think about in the past, Brandon, when we mismanaged the clock and we lost close games because we didn't do what was in the game plan. We changed up in the game plan in the final fourth quarter for some reason.
Yeah, we saw that a lot with,
and we
with
lost
Greg
the
Roman.
leads. We lost the leads.
We saw that a lot. Todd had the recipe on that drive where we pushed in Henry. He had the recipe, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? At the end of the game, right, when you have control, end it. Even if we didn't score that drive, take some clock, run the ball, right? You want to get it in your star players' hands. With the game on the line, you don't take the ball out of Kobe's hands, Michael's hands. Put it in Henry's hands. I don't even think Lamar was even on the field during that play because they had Kolar under center. This trick play stuff, at the end of the day...
Especially at that particular time.
Yes.
That is my thing. It's not like the first quarter, the second quarter. You want to do a trick play, something, to keep the drive going. This is critical, Todd. How dare you do this to the fans and
that's
to
Ravens
the players?
football.
And to the players.
That's Ravens football.
Yeah.
Ground and pound. Us against you. We're letting you know what we're gonna do, and you know what? We're gonna get it.
And what is Henry's forte? It's always been every commentator, every fan that ever knows him said he's the one in the fourth quarter you want to ham. The defense is tired, and you have him on the run. This is the man that you want. This is why you paid him all this money to come over here, just for that very reason. Short yardage, 3rd and 1, going down it for 4th down.
And I get, there was a lot of plays where Henry was getting stuff. There wasn't a push from the offensive line. However, not to harp too much on it, but the game's on the line.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna lose, I want to lose putting the ball in my star players' hands. Bottom line.
Crunch time.
Bottom line.
Crunch time. Who is your go-to? What have you been practicing all week? Don't divert and do something cute or a trick play, Todd. I'm so sick of you because of that. I mean, come on. And last week, Andy Reid stuck to his game plan last week. Raiders stuck to their game plan. They had no running game, but they kept running it, and in the fourth quarter, that's what they did. They kept possession and they scored. They scored four times.
They kept it in range, and what Baltimore doesn't do well, no matter who the coordinator is, we panic. We panic. If the game is close, man, we just sweat, and that's what makes Kansas City so good because they are so cool and calm and collective in pressure situations, and as a fan, you can't feel like that with Baltimore. Last thing on Henry too, I mean he averaged 4.7 yards a carry. So you're talking 2nd and 5, and then maybe 3rd and short, right? That's the perfect scenario for you when you got the lead. The clock is on your side if you can milk it, and we fumbled. We fumbled the bag. It's just simple as that. And
then let's hit the subject of penalties. I mean, the Ravens have been hit with too many penalties.
We're not surprised though. We've never been disciplined.
Yeah, we've never been disciplined. I think the stat is the Raiders had 3 penalties for like 11 yards, and we had 15 penalties for like 90-something yards, whatever the numbers are for you statistical people. My thing is the flow of the game. We were getting penalized, and then we had in really specific penalties in crucial times, and the pass interference at the end of the game with Brandon Stevens was questionable, but that just dictated the whole game.
That was a bad call because the ref, it almost looked like he was hesitant on throwing because Stevens is running off to the sideline, and that's when the flag comes.
It was like definitely 4 or 5 seconds after the play.
It was bad.
It was egregious.
On that play too. How many times do commentators say he's got to look back for the ball, right? And they throw the flag because he didn't make a play on the ball.
Right.
They're both looking at the ball,
and
they still gets and I don't like. You see, the NFL has so many rule changes now. the defense can't do anything. You can't pass gas on guys anymore before with the flag being thrown.
I know. He
couldn't have played better coverage than that.
Yeah, it really is ruining the game because Brandon had, that's who we wanted.
We did not want Marlon.
Right, on him. And, speaking of that, look at Marlon Humphrey getting an interception. And I say, I'm not a big fan of him. And I believe the ball was underthrown. He was out of position. It could have been his own defense, but that was just a gift to him. It's not like he went up and at the peak of his jump to intercept the ball, because I've never seen that with him too often. And then the other thing is, right after that, not shortly after that, what does he do? Get a pass interference.
But that pass interference, I know you're going to mention. Honestly, if you look at it, it was tic-tacky to his credit. I'm not even a Marlin guy, but it was a questionable call. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, though, when it comes to penalties, right, this team had – I remember this team, man, we always were so penalized since the Orlando Brown days, the father, right? And it comes from the top down. John, it's always questioning the ref's call on the penalty, but never holding your team accountable and say, we got to do better. I know there was some calls that didn't go our way, but we got to wrap it up if we're going to win these games. And it doesn't seem like he ever holds his team accountable. And one more thing on John. We stayed up late after that Houston game, and we saw that Dan Campbell press conference, and I'm glad we saw the humility on Dan Campbell's face. He said, I messed up. This was on me. He damn near wanted to cry. Yep. And you would never see that with John Harbaugh. He did say on one of the challenges, it's my fault, but it's tough seeing. It's a typical John Harbaugh.
Well, he didn't say that today.
Conference.
I heard the press conference today about an hour ago before our
one of the challenges.
Podcast.
He did say it was his fault, but
well, he was like saying, he said to the press, you can't win 100% of challenges.
Yeah.
Somebody said, well, how about winning some of them, John, because you haven't had any yet in the season. So, and then you're calling him, and all the players were saying, including Lamar, don't throw the challenge in the fourth quarter when we need it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And you look at we watched the Chiefs game that night. Andy Reid has all three timeouts
in the fourth quarter,
and he needed every one of them too.
Back-to-back games. We needed a game-winning drive, all three timeouts, and we never had all three back-to-back.
We never do. If we go back and hit in the last 10 games, I don't think we had three timeouts in the fourth quarter.
Death, taxes, and John Harbaugh losing challenges and blowing timeouts. I mean, it's a guarantee. It's actually sickening. I mean, that you go into the game knowing your head coach
is going to do that.
Is going to do that.
I mean, it's almost like a joke with us watching it when they come out of halftime. We say, now, is he going to call a timeout in the third quarter? And when he didn't, we said, okay, save him. It's a close game. You're going back and forth. What does he do? On a call that everybody knew was a catch, he calls a challenge. He throws a challenge.
A lot of the times when he challenges plays, it's off of big plays, and he wants to take that big play away, and so he'll challenge it and hope it goes his way. But sometimes you got to think, man, this ain't college. You're not beating teams. I mean, occasionally, like the Saints did the Cowboys, but it's going to be a close game. You're going to need those timeouts if you need a game-winning drive. I was listening, Brandon, to the radio, and it's the same thing that I was thinking of during that game. When we do have controversial calls like that, they were saying, that's what the coaches are in the booth. They're supposed to be running that film. They had 20 seconds, 30 seconds to look at that play before they said to John, don't throw a flag. Yeah. So nobody knows exactly what happens, of course, all the communications and everything. But by gosh, this is game after game after game. Same mistake.
So, I mean,
and year after year too, not just game. And he addressed that in the press conference too, and he says, you have limited time, and he also said that they never had the best look at some of these plays, and so they're trying to hurry up and look at it before the offense snaps the ball, and then you can't challenge it. And I understand that, but when it happens over time, as you say, something's got to give. I mean, eventually, you got to make the right decision.
And then back to the players. You know what? To be honest with you, Brandon, they made more plays than we did at the end too. We have the weapons to make these plays. We've got to start. And I got to tell you, I'm one of the biggest Lamar fans. But I was telling Brandon, on this podcast, I'm not going to give him a pass this time because he was off his game. His throwing was
the ball placement. The ball was questionable.
Zay, I remember, had to on a wide open. He had to dive for the ball on the sidelines.
Same with Mark Andrews over the middle, wide open over the middle.
And same with Bateman. He had one that he had on the sideline that he had to dive just to catch the ball. Now, if he caught him in stride, we could have had 2-3. Who knows? Break a tackle.
Maybe. I mean, he was headed to the sideline, but still, I mean, he had to make a remarkable acrobatic catch.
He's not leading his receivers, Brandon, like he should. His long ball is very questionable. When he throws a long ball,
he overthrew Mark Andrews in the first half, and Mark had plenty of room to catch and run.
Yeah. Oh, and I remember he caught it, but he had to dive for it.
No. There was another play.
Another
he overshot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an NFL throw you got to make, especially at this point in your career.
Yeah.
So it's blame on both sides, but I think the most blame definitely is the coaching. It has to be.
And then you know what is interesting too for the fan base here that listen to us. The other interesting thing to me is one of our players, our playmakers, will have a breakout game or have a great game. And then the next game, they're nowhere to be found. Example, Likely. I mean, my goodness, he's got the breakout game. He's talking all kinds of trash during the week, and then nothing.
Yeah.
And the most consistent player in terms of offense, other than Lamar, is Zay Flowers. So he's consistent.
And on Isaiah Likely, how ironic, after we lose, he's going to go, he's cursing at fans and stuff, and then in a press conference, he goes, this is probably going to be the worst game that we play all year. 1 week after, what do you got to say now?
Yeah.
Against the Raiders?
I wish these players would just zip it up sometimes because all that is fueling the other team. And it's just unprofessional. Come on, Ravens.
Listen, you don't see Mahomes saying that in press conference. You don't see, you never saw Tom Brady talking crap in press conferences.
Yeah.
Let your game do the talking.
Right.
We're losing games and talking crap.
And even if you do win and you stop an opponent, a team, just walk off the field and say, "Yeah, that's what we were supposed to do." You don't brag. This is what you're supposed to be doing to the Raiders.
Yeah.
Okay. So cut the nonsense and these podcasts that they have after during the week talking all kinds of trash. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of it.
What's killer with the Ravens is we've always had the roster. Talent was never our Achilles heel why we can't compete. Even when Lamar got hurt that 1 year and we had Huntley, we were in games, man. Because we always have a talented roster. Yes, we lose pieces, and I know you harp on that, right? It seems like the Chiefs and some of these teams always retain their coaching and the players, but we don't retain coaching. And that's the one thing, outside of Harbaugh being the common piece that's always been with us year after year, we lose pivotal coaches. McDonald's 2-0. We're 0-2.
And Jim Harbaugh, look at what he's doing.
Yeah. And honestly, with this offense, it's almost like Greg Roman didn't leave. Yeah. What's changed? Yeah. It's actually worse because Todd Monken's got more weapons than Roman did. And that makes it even more egregious.
Yeah.
That we're it's the same thing.
And they talked about Todd last year. Oh, this is going to be a whole different offense. We're going to do so much unique. We got so much talent. And what is it? It's Greg Roman all over again. I mean, what did you do that's so unique and utilizing all these weapons you have? You got to get, Brandon, you're good for telling me Todd Monken got a gift coming here from college. I mean, come on.
Fans, think about this. When you're a college coordinator or head coach and you come to the NFL, you're most likely going to like a Carolina, Atlanta, some team that is desperate, doesn't have much talent. He comes to Baltimore. He's got the world at his fingertips.
Yeah.
Now a 2-time MVP quarterback. Just got Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers is flourishing. And you got a defense. I mean, you can't ask for a better job.
Yeah.
Honestly, after that AFC Championship game, they both should have been gone. Yeah. They both should have been gone. And we're sitting here week after week, and we're just a small podcast. We're fans, but we're saying the same things, and people are seeing the same things. It's frustrating.
I was just thinking that. I was sitting here listening to you saying to myself, why is it we're always talking about coaches when we're talking football, X's and O's all the time? There's something wrong there. When you have to come and say time management, clock management was wrong, and week after week and then we're not sticking to the game plan.
It makes you go crazy,
and
honestly.
you're like, come on, we're just average fans and we can figure this out. What in the world are you thinking?
We're
You
so
know?
talented, and
Yeah.
yet we couldn't even score a touchdown in the first half against the Raiders. Yeah. They got one guy, Crosby, and we don't know what to do.
And I mean, to be honest, our defense held us in the game.
It's always been the offense letting us down.
And Lamar, come on, man. We got to score points, or Todd and Lamar. Let's get on the same page. Let's have a good game plan going into something. Stick to your damn plan. I mean, my God.
You don't want that to come out.
We just never know it's so frustrating as a fan. You never know what's going to come.
Yeah.
You don't know we said that last week. What is the identity of this team? And we still don't know. And we're 0-2.
You know what's crazy, too, is when Lamar got sacked, it was a tie game, right? It was about a little over 2 minutes left, right? You need to now go down and get at least a field goal, right? And get the lead back.
Oh, yeah.
3rd and 19. Nobody could get open, and we had to dump it off to Justice, right? And you're going, oh, my gosh.
It's a waste.
So now we're putting all our faith in the defense to help us again and to make salt in the wound. Stout
kicks it.
Shanks the kick.
Shanks it
on top of a penalty on top of that.
Yeah.
And it was, when you saw where the Raiders had the ball, it was almost like we didn't even punt the ball.
Yeah, it was on their side. It was on
our side.
So, yeah, I'm taking a deep breath. We're 0-2. And you know what? To be honest with you, fans, we deserve to be 0-2.
Oh, yeah.
So they I don't know, we got to dig ourselves out of a hole.
We are not proponents of one of those people that say Ravens versus the refs. Yeah, we got screwed on that Stevens call, the Matabike face mask, but at the end of the day, we're undisciplined.
Yeah.
And we lose these games. We shoot ourselves in the foot. I respect the opponents, but respectfully, it's always us beating ourselves. It's never the opponent beating us.
And it's funny because John Harbaugh will say, oh, it's a physical game and I want my players to play physical. Yeah, well, guess what? Andy Reid has a team that knows it's a physical game. When's the last time you saw them doing stupid penalties?
Yeah.
So I don't even want to hear that crap anymore. Get disciplined. Get control of your players. Belichick was another one like that. Get
Always.
control of them.
Always.
And if they're not, don't sit them down. Sit your star down, acting up, and see what happens the rest of the season.
Set a precedent is what you're trying to say, and you just don't get that with John.
Yeah, I mean,
back on that 3rd and 19, by the way, I thought about this. This is basically do or die, right? You got to get a good chunk of yards. You're not going to, maybe you get the whole thing, right? But you can make it at least 4th and 7, something manageable,
and
right?
And even try on
right?
4th and 7.
So nobody can get open, right? But think about the end of that Chiefs game. Different scenario slightly because it's 4th down. They have to get past the sticks.
Oh, yeah.
They take a shot. But if you look at the Ravens 3rd and 19, right? Mm-hmm. At least you get a pass interference.
Right.
Take a risk.
That's what they did. And if you get a big chunk, then you have a decision to make. Do you punt it and pin them back?
Yeah.
Or do you go for it and try to win the game?
Because if you make it like a 4th and 2 or 3,
then
think about it. If you're Dan Campbell for the Lions, who always goes for it, he's going for it.
Yeah.
He's got confidence in his team.
Exactly.
And
you should have plays for that. That scenario right there.
You should have never been in that scenario because Todd messed up on the play call, not just having Henry in the backfield and just hand it off and let him get it. So you put yourself in this predicament, and we still couldn't pull it out.
And the only thing I want to say regarding defense was Crosby was killing us. So then they say, okay, even the commentators, when are they going to change up their defense? They're all, offense.
Yeah.
So we started chipping them. And it was very effective. But then what do? At least what I saw in the 4th quarter, we stopped doing it. And he started killing us again. In the 4th quarter, we never stuck to that plan of having a tight end chip them, or Ricard chip them.
It's so disappointing to let the defense down because I'm looking at the sacks. 2.5 sacks. Kyle Van Noy, 2 sacks. Roquan had 11 tackles, right? They're all over the field. Hamilton had 10 tackles, 8 solo tackles. They're all over the field. Matabike could have had a sack if they didn't call the stupid BS face mask. we gotta. Why is the offense always letting this team down?
Yeah.
Why? So I mean, that's all I have to say. You know, we wanted to hop on here, a quick episode compared to week 1. But, you know, you can only say so much when you're saying the same things over and over, honestly.
I know.
Honestly.
Well, you know what? This week coming up, Dallas is right? Dallas?
Yep. In Dallas.
We're in Dallas. Let's see what this team is made of. Because if I have to come back on here and talk about the same thing, I don't know what's going to happen.
And think about it. Dallas just got blown out.
Yeah,
right?
so they're hungry.
They're mad. They're angry.
But they shouldn't be hungrier than us. We're 0-2, and they're
Exactly.
1-1.
No.
They're 1-1.
Yeah.
They're 1-1.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, they got embarrassed.
And they don't want to go 1-2.
Yeah. So
With the
we're
Eagles.
going to see what this team is made out of.
And this offensive line, you got Micah Parsons, Lawrence on that line. That defense is no joke.
Yeah, I know. But they used
No
to say
joke.
Ravens are dogs. Well, we're going to see what the dog is. They're going to eat, as Ray Lewis would say. Let's see if these dogs are going to eat this week.
As we said right after our game, right? They got to play this game like the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
this is do or die.
Yeah, especially this game. The next 2 games. 'Cause
Yeah.
we play Buffalo right after.
Buffalo and then Cincinnati.
This will dictate. You know what? You win these next 2 games. It's 2-2, and around the league, that's probably going to be the average. And now you're right back in the hunt.
Right back in
because
it.
you got a bunch of games coming up in the division.
And you got
In the
saved
division.
by all teams, Kansas City, by beating the Bengals.
Yeah,
because
we got saved,
if
yeah.
they won that game, oh man,
Well,
we're really.
That's
in
what
the
I'm
hole.
saying. Now we go into if we get these next 2, we go into now the division games. We start heading
Yeah.
that way, and that's when it gets real.
It's
right?
do or die. Backs against the wall. Let's see who's got heart on this team.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Is the coaching going to finally tighten it up? So we'll see. But as a fan, we're not going in this game expecting a complete turnaround.
No.
We've seen no evidence of that yet.
But when you have talent like we do, you depend on the coaches to make sure that you take advantage of that talent.
Put
is
your
what I'm trying to
players
say.
in the best situation to win.
Position to win is what I thank you. What
Yeah.
I wanted to say. I just want to say, put them in a position to win, coaches. That's your job because you're calling the play calls.
Yeah.
You're the play callers. So put them in a position. You got the talent. You got all the pieces of the puzzle. Now implement it. Execute. He likes to say execute it. Yeah, John.
And you
execute
can't,
it. And Todd
in this
too.
game with Dallas, really quick, you can't turn the ball over either.
Yeah.
We've turned the ball over more. I mean, not two. I mean, that was Lamar's first pick, but those turnovers turn into points. It's hard. You're digging yourself out of a hole at that point. They got 7 points off that turnover. When Bateman couldn't catch it, it was like a bang play. You could either blame Bateman or blame Lamar.
But he's throwing it in double coverage too. So he had Zay on the side, not wide open, but by himself. Now you're throwing in double coverage.
Yeah,
anything can happen.
You cannot do that with Dallas.
Yeah.
So
All right.
we'll see really quick. Thank you for everybody that's been tuning in so far. We've appreciated all the comments. What people say either in the comments or DMs, we implement that into the podcast. We want to make this a community, so we appreciate all the interaction because again, we don't record in the off season, so we don't know if people are still sticking with us coming into the next season. So it's great to see 2 games in. We still have people that are engaged, that have reached out to us saying they love the content. So it sucks as a loss, but that's the bright side.
I know.
Of
Thank you,
It
loyal.
makes it cool.
Yeah, loyal listeners. Thanks a lot. You're like season ticket holders
Yeah,
to us. It's pretty cool.
We honestly didn't know what to expect with the new season, because we're not doing this all year round. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And fans, man, they're fired up after this 0-2, man.
Yep.
I mean, people want to see a change,
Yep.
and I haven't seen and really heard, especially from my messages, how fired up fans are, especially with this coaching staff. So it's very interesting to see, and this next game really could determine our season.
Yeah. Keep the feedback coming.
Yes, we love it. So tune in next week with Dallas, and hopefully next time you hear from us, it'll be a different scenario.